This is my 5th time recording this. I don't know. Eventually, at some point, it's going to allow me to upload it, right? I love to read. And I came across this book earlier this year at home. It's called All the Women of the Bible. And I really had no interest in reading it, to be honest. I wasn't there yet. And then earlier this week, I picked up the book and I started reading. Looked through my, for my name, and my real name's Esther, and I wanted to see Sarah and Elizabeth, and I wanted to know what the stories were, like what it said. And then it turned out that this book is written in a way of story format. And so I thought, why not read it? Share it with you guys. How are you going to come across this book, right? Anyways. And I've been reading it, and I've been trying to relate, you read stories and you try and relate them to your life. The story is like my family, honestly. It's like my family. There's one part where Mr. Pie's believer is, stealing. I did something very kind for somebody once. My own brother, in fact. And he came home. And he accused me of stealing. I remember I was so angry. I was like, wow. You're going to accuse me of stealing after everything I did for you. I took time out, but I understand in this story why the son left. Son left because why should he stay? Why stay where you're not celebrated, where you're not loved? A lot of people feel that way. I feel that way. I live here in my house with my parents, and it's rent-free, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's such a luxury. It's rent-free. You don't have to pay for groceries. Except that I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own house. And I hated even. Hated. And they would say, oh, we don't hate you. We don't hate you. Yeah. You say you don't. But the actions are of someone who hates you. I remember I was thinking, why would I steal it? If I was going to steal it, I would just ask you. I didn't, Anyways, just got a lot more background than needed. But anyway, so we're going to go into Anna and the Homecoming. I'm watching The Road, of course. What else would I be doing? That's the road by which my son Tobias will be coming home to me. God send it so. How I wish he'd never gone. It's all Tobit's fault, of course. That man, good husband though he may be, and he is, though sometimes he's enough to make a donkey envious. He's that stubborn. He's obsessed. Money. All the time, money. I don't care about the money, I told him. We have enough. We 3 have each other. Why do you want the 10 talents of silver you left in trust with Gabrielle and Media? We don't need it. But would he listen? No. He had to send my baby, my Tobias, off with some stranger looking for work that he picked up in town. I'll bet. But Tobit believed him when he said he was kin, and off they went. Simple as a baby, that one. He'd believe anything anyone wanted to tell him. Unless, of course, it might make my life easier. Did I tell you what happened when he first went blind? I must have. No? Well then, He was doing what he always did, obeying the Lord God's law. Now, you know, I have nothing against the Lord God. But there are times when my dear husband's idea of keeping his law is just beyond everything. He's obsessed, I tell you. This time it was burying the dead. I don't think the Lord God would have minded, not much anyway, if Tobit had skipped this corpse. After all, that's what got him exiled, all our goods confiscated and a price on his head in the first place. He had just been restored, you know, change of kings and everything's up for grabs, and here he goes again. And I had just put the meal on the table, and not any old dinner. This was his homecoming feast and the feast of Pentecost, and let me tell you, I had cooked up a storm for that dinner. Does he sit and eat? Nope. My son has to go out and find him a poor man to share the meal. Well, there was plenty, of course. I don't skimp. But Tobias came back without a guest and with the news that one of our countrymen had been murdered and left in the marketplace. Nothing would do, but my dear husband has to rush out, snatch the body, and bring it to my spare room. Filthy thing it was, too. And then, after sunset, he buries it. You'd think the Lord God would have sent him a gift for his faithfulness. So why did that blame sparrow land his stuff in Tobit's eyes? He was blind within the year in spite of the doctors. And that's when it happened. A thing I haven't forgiven him for yet. I'm going to actually run out of time. So there's going to be a part 2 and a part 3 because I've actually already filmed the ending. So go to the next part, see what happens next.